Hello. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, or good evening. Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are doing great. And I'm going to wait to get onto Instagram. Yes, I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. And I am on Facebook and YouTube. All right, let's just get this started and then we can get into it. How y'all doing? It's been a really busy week for us all, hasn't it? All right. So I'm gonna when you join in, please say hello. I welcome comments at the end so that I can answer a few questions. Um, so let me introduce myself. I just want to make sure yes, I am in TikTok. I'm on TikTok, YouTube. Yes, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram. And happy Thursday to you all. Hello, hello, hello. So, guys, for those who do not know me, let me introduce myself. It's about 5:30, and I'm trying to do this really quickly before I head out. But we'll see. My name is Ifama Odunlami. I'm an immigration attorney from the Odunlami Law Firm in New Jersey. We serve clients in all 50 states of the United States. So if you have an immigration problem, call us 973-993-1900. Please call only that number because there are a lot of scammers out there trying to take advantage of you. That's the only number for setting a consultation with any of our attorneys, or you can set up a consultation on your own by going to our website, www.odulamilaw.com. And when you interact with anybody on social media, please make sure that you're interacting on my page, because there are people who are setting up pages that look like mine. And even on my pages, some people are making comments telling you to call them on some numbers that they're putting in the comment section. So just beware. So, hi guys, I have some really, really great news. Oops, that was Instagram that just went to, just give me a second. All right, my setup. Okay, so guys, I have really great news on one of our cases, and I want to talk about that because we've been having a lot of anxiety after this election. So everyone's really feeling out of sorts. But guess what? Good things are still happening. We're still getting approvals. We will continue to get approvals regardless of who is president. Okay. So I want to talk about this case. Actually, we had two cases that I wanted to discuss. We got an approval on a VAWA case based on parental abuse. Yes, it's a VAWA case where the parent was the one being abused by a U.S. citizen child. And this type of cases are rare because a lot of people feel guilty about uh, exposing the fact that their children don't treat them right, don't treat them well. And so it's really hard during a consultation to get a potential client to admit to the fact that they have a child who doesn't treat them right. And as you know, abuse doesn't have to be physical. This case we won was not a physical abuse. It was really emotional and psychological. And the funny thing is, when this client uh, came to me for consultation, she wasn't thinking of filing VAWA based on being abused by her child. But we were trying to figure out a way for her to get her green card because she'd been in this country for a very, very long time. As a matter of fact, she came in um, when she was little. She didn't know she didn't even know she was not a U.S. citizen until she got older, got married, and found out that she wasn't a U.S. citizen because her parents brought her here. She lived here all her life. She thought she was a U.S. citizen. So we were really trying to figure out a way for her to get her green card. Her children are U.S. citizens. Her spouse is a U.S. citizen, but unfortunately, because she crossed the border, she couldn't adjust her status within the United States, right? And that's a problem we have a lot, which was one of the problems that Biden's parole in place, which is now dead, was going to solve, but that didn't work out. So because of the manner of her entry, even though she was a child and she was not the one that brought herself here, immigration doesn't really care if you can't prove that you came here in a B1, B2, or F1 or some kind of authorized state. If you cannot prove that you were admitted, and you admitted into the United States, your child cannot file for you under parental, parental application. Your spouse cannot file for you. You have to do a 601A waiver, get that approved, go back to your country and do consular processing. And a lot of people get afraid of being stuck out there. So we were thinking of all the things that she could file. And I just happened to ask her, what is your relationship with your child? And initially she was like, oh, fine, everything's fine. And I think there was something she said that got me that actually made me question more. Because a lot of times, and this is why consultations are really great, is sometimes the client will say something, and you have a feeling about it and you pursue it. So I think she has said something about being the one that took care of her children's of her grandchildren. And I said, well, where are the parents? And she said, they're there, but it's her job to take care of them. I'm like, well, are they paying you? Why is this your job? Do you have another job? Yes. But she said something like, they get upset if they need her and she's not there. And so, of course, with that information, I was like, well, why would they get upset if they need you and you're not there? And then I found out a lot of other things they were doing to her. Basically, they were treating her as an unpaid maid, right? She had her own home, she had her own spouse, but they felt that she was there to serve them. She had to cook for them. If she didn't cook it the way they liked, they got upset. She was the one that would do everything with the kids, with her grandkids, take them to school, bring them back, and then they would yell at her if they felt she didn't do something right. And there was a lot of that kind of put down. You never do anything right. This is why you raised us this way. There's a lot of verbal abuse, she would cry a lot, and she felt so hurt, but she didn't know. This had been her life. She was abused. There's a history of abuse as well. So she just accepted it and thought it was normal. So by the time I talked to her, I said to her, this is not normal for you to be treated this way, for them to yell at you and scream at you, and you make food, they throw it out, and tell you things like, you're good for nothing. Look at you, you can't do this, you can't do anything right. That is not okay. And so we did the consultation, and I said to her, I think you need to file VAWA. VAWA is a way for you to get your green card. You know why? Because VAWA does not care that your entry was illegal. VAWA does not care that you had been in this country and you've worked without documentation. They don't care about that. And with VAWA, you're able to get your green card. You're able to get, first of all, before you get the green card, you get a work permit, you get a travel permit, and ultimately you get your green card. 3 years after getting your green card, you can apply for naturalization. So I told her all of this, but of course she was a little worried because she felt it was bad for her to get a green card through accusing her child of being abusive. So she took some time to think about it, and then she came back and we filed it. And guess what? No family member knows that she filed that. Apart from some of the people that wrote the affidavit of support as evidence of witnessing the way her child had treated her, right? So it's confidential. VAWA is confidential because I know that's something that a lot of parents are really worried about, especially when they rely on that child, So, the good news is she finally got her VAWA approved. She got her green card. She is going to be looking to apply for U.S. citizenship in another 3 years. And guess what? She's been in this country for over 35 years without status. Finally, she gets status. So we're really excited for our clients, and I want you to know that if you are somebody that has a U.S. citizen child, remember, VAWA only works if your child is a U.S. citizen and that child is over the age of 21, right? Have an attorney screen you to see if the level of mistreatment, rises to the level of the abuse required under VAWA. And we didn't have we didn't have any evidence of physical abuse because there was none. We didn't have any report from the, a police station, a hospital. There was none of that, right? This case was straightforward emotional abuse, psychological abuse, verbal abuse. That was it. And we didn't have hard evidence, but we had a lot of very detailed affidavits from other family members. We were able to show that she was the person that was signed up for as a contact person for, for the children. We're able to show that she was the one doing a lot of the things for the children. She was basically the one taking care of the children. We're able to show all of this. So I'm so excited for her because she deserves to be able to live here in the United States. Can you imagine living here with your US citizen children, your US citizen spouse? She came in here when she was about maybe 4. So she has no idea of any other world outside the United States. And to feel that she couldn't stay here because of a decision her parents made to bring her into this country, it was a tearjerker. And so today she has her green card. She's doing well. And we have several cases like this, actually, a lot of this kind of parental abuse by US citizens, forcing their kids, their parents to do all this work, not, respecting them, So if you know somebody that is in this situation, forward this video to them, and tell them that it is confidential and their child is not going to know, because a lot of victims are afraid of the abusers. More than anything else, they don't want the abusers to know. And so that's why VAWA is confidential. Nobody's going to know. Nobody is going to, you're not going to get in trouble. And most importantly, that child is not going to get into trouble, even if it was a case of physical abuse, because if victims had to worry about their abusers getting in trouble with the law, they wouldn't come forward with their story. So that's one of the reasons that VAWA is not looking to punish the perpetrators. They're looking to protect the victims. So even if it was a physical abuse case, it won't go to the police. It won't go anywhere, okay? VAWA is for the victims, all right? So if you have any questions, please put it right here on the comment section. I'm going to answer some questions. And another success story we had was an asylum case. One of our clients, a Nigerian client, that we successfully got an asylum granted with USCIS. You know how hard it is to get a USCIS approval of asylum. It's really, really difficult, because most times, most asylum cases are denied at USCIS level, and then it's taken to, they go into deportation, because if your asylum case is denied on the USCIS level, you must be put into deportation proceedings. That's just how it is. So a lot of people get their approval for asylum through a judge, but in this case, we got it through filing an asylum. So our client with USCIS, our client didn't even need to go to did not need to go through the deportation proceedings. And not only did she get her grant of asylum, all her derivatives are also going to be able to get a green card because she got her asylum granted. So, we have a lot of cases that are very complex. My office works with very complex cases, and we love challenging cases because we're always thinking out of the box, and we fight for our clients. I had another case. It was a naturalization case. We just actually got notification that it was approved. It was a tough case because it was an I-751 that was filed, and then a naturalization was filed because the I-751 had not been approved. And USCIS really had a problem with the fact that they felt she couldn't prove bona fides. And so unfortunately, the spouse was no longer alive, and that was a while ago, because I-751s take so long. So of course, a lot of the evidence was gone, But we appeared for our clients, and we basically made sure that process, our client was respected throughout the process, and we made sure that we were advocating her rights. And I'm really excited that got approved. So I know that people are really afraid and worried about what the future is going to hold, but I'm I believe that really, everything works out for good, right? And I think that thinking positive thoughts, if you're someone who prays, that helps. It helps me. And I put my faith in God and I just do my best, So the next 4 years are going to be challenging, but, we're not deterred. We're not afraid. It just means that we're going to have to really roll up our sleeves and work. And that's fine. We're fine with that. So I'm going to answer some questions and then I'm going to head out. So Levon Nell on YouTube says, hello, ma'am. Thank you for always showing us the possibility of light at the end of the tunnel. You're welcome. What is the wait time for military PIP? Can Trump possibly cancel this waiver? Something, we don't know what is going to happen with military parole in place. I don't really think that that's on the chopping block, but I don't know because nobody really knows what Donald Trump is planning to do. So I'm just going to say, let's wait and see. I mean, I know that Biden parole in place didn't go anywhere, but military parole in place has been there for quite a while, and nobody seems to be unduly worried about it, and nobody has talked about it. So let's hope that that's not something that they're looking at terminating, because it's really helpful for our military servicemen to know that their family members who may have come in here without status have a way of staying in the United States and getting their green cards without having to leave. It allows them to go and serve us, in the front lines, So, Livon, I'm going to tell you not to worry about things that could possibly happen, because anything really could happen. But let's take it one day at a time, right? But what you need to know is if military parole in place and other pathways are being, put on the chopping block, there are lots of organizations, attorneys that are going to be fighting a battle over that, okay? And Reaction says, will receipt notices still be a thing for extensions after 2 years expiration of green card? Yes. I mean, typically, I see no reason, because they always give you a receipt notice, because USCIS doesn't really have time to go through the I-751s, because the people who have a green card based on, who have a conditional green card are not a priority for USCIS. You already have a green card, you can travel, you can work. So they're busy trying to catch up on other cases, which is the reason why they've given extensions 2 years, then 36 months, now it's 48 months. So it's in their best interest to keep the extensions, because it really works for them. It's not for you, it's for them, so that they can get some time to do other work that they need to do. All right, Reactions, that was a good question. So let me look and see if I can answer a few questions here on Instagram, and then I'll come to TikTok. Yonker Sosaro, hello, how are you? All right, let's keep looking. All right, so Remy says, I have TPS and I'm married to a green card holder. I'm afraid Trump will revoke it. So can my wife sponsor me? What would be the best move in this situation? So Remy, that's a really great question. And you know what? A lot of us are thinking the same thing, that TPS in many countries will not be redesignated, right? So if your wife is a green card holder, if she files for you, you really can't adjust your status, because if you're married to a green card holder, you have to be in legal status to be able to adjust your status. So what I'm going to say is that when your wife or your spouse, yes, when your wife becomes a US citizen, they can file for you as long as you were admitted into the United States. Okay. So if you need to discuss this more, feel free to give us a call, 973-993-1900. Okay. And honestly, you say, I'm afraid if Trump will revoke it. You guys stop the fear. He will revoke it, but he likely will, but I'm sure you have another pathway. So just calm down. Let's take it a step at a time. Honestly, I really don't want people just being afraid of, oh my God, what's going to happen? A lot of the things that Trump wants to do logistically is not possible. I tell you that. I'm sure he'd like to do that, but I put it in the same category as I put the wall and Mexico paying for it. There's no question that there's going to be a lot of they're going to make a lot of changes that's going to make it more difficult in the immigration field. But remember, we've been through this before. Let's have faith. We're going to go through it again, and we're going to come out. quite okay. All right. Let's see. So, Odogo says, I filed my VAWA case May 23rd, 2022. How long is it going to take them to approve my I-360? Is it advisable for me to go to Nigeria next year because of the new elected president? So, VAWA cases are taking anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 years. So, if you filed in 2022, you're kind of almost there. I mean, it's not guaranteed that it's going to be 2.5 to 3.5. Sometimes it takes a little longer. Sometimes it takes less. But that's really what the case processing website tells us. Now, with regards to whether or not you should travel, I can't answer that because I can tell you what I tell my clients, right? I caution them that when you leave the United States on an advanced parole, it's not a guarantee that you will be allowed back. Because if you have some inadmissibilities that that would stop you from being admitted, they won't let you back. So a lot of people make this decision on their own and they go and they come back. Everybody who's traveled that I know of, any of my clients, they've gone and come back. But I have told them the same thing, that you need to know that an advanced parole is not a guarantee. But if you have done nothing wrong and there's nothing out there, and this is somewhere you really want to go, if it's a risk you want to take, then go ahead, but know that it's not an automatic re-entry. But quite frankly, I would say that a greater percentage of people go and come back without any issues. So that's a decision you're going to make, right? And if it's because of the new elected president, honestly, I'd say just wait and get your VAWA approved, okay? That's what I'll do. Unless it's an emergency and you need to go, then yeah, you make that decision. All right. So Bailey Tachika says, can a green card holder marry an undocumented person, get a green card when they're both in America? So this is what I just said. If you're undocumented and you're married to a green card holder, you're not going to be able to get a green card because for you to get a green card through an LPR, you have to be in legal status to be able to adjust your status. So one of the things you can do is you can wait for your spouse to become a U.S. citizen, or you can look for other ways of getting a green card, such as if you're in an abusive relationship with that spouse, you can get your green card through VAWA, even though it may take longer because the processing times, the priority dates for green card holders it's a little backlogged. You could see if you qualify for a U visa or a T visa, or see, depending on what that undocumented person status is, they may be able to get TPS, leave, come back, it all depends. So yeah, I think a consultation might be a good idea, just so that you have legal advice that's tailored to you, because I'm not giving legal advice. This is just for information only, okay? All right, so let me see. Let me go to TikTok, answer a couple of questions on TikTok. All right. So Hada Haki says, I'm an American citizen and I would like to apply to bring my future husband to the United States. Should I don't know what the other question is. Hada Haki. It stops at should I. But if you're asking if you can bring your spouse to the United States, you should be able to, as long as your spouse has no inadmissibilities, as long as you're qualified to file as a U.S. citizen, because if you've committed any crime relating to child endangerment, sex abuse, that kind of stuff, as a U.S. citizen, you can't file for anybody. So typically, if you're a U.S. citizen, generally you can apply for a spouse who's abroad. It takes a little while though. Sasha Poo says, I'm worried I filed my VAWA almost 2 years ago and no prima facie yet. Well, did you get a receipt for your VAWA? And you can always reach out to the VAWA people and ask them to send you a prima facie. I'm not sure why you haven't received it either. So yeah. I mean, we did have a client that never got one, but she got her green card. So I'm not sure if it's just they made a mistake or there's actually a real reason. So, you may want to reach out to VAWA or call an attorney and let them do a FOIA and review your case and see what's going on. All right. So Jessica Myers says, my father came here in 1984. He didn't adjust his status. He lost his leg. What can be done? So Jessica Myers, typically you should have, for your father to get his green card, he has to have a pathway. And it really doesn't matter that he lost his leg. I mean, that's not gonna, the disability is not a pathway to getting a green card. However, there's something called medical deferred action, which allows them to get a work permit, allows them to work, and allows them to, not to be deported for a certain period of time. With the medical deferred action, you have to keep renewing it often. But maybe I would ask you how your father lost his leg. Was it did somebody assault him, or was it a health issue? We would want to know, get more information. Maybe you should schedule a consultation. Let's just ask a bunch of questions and see if there's something else, that any other pathway that he can get a green card through. All right. So guys, it's 6:01. So I'm gonna just head out. I'm just gonna answer one more questions. Martha says, some 8-9 years ago, I took my daughter for a medical appointment. Before I came back, my apartment was robbed. They took everything I had. Being robbed in the US, is there a valid ground to adjust my status? So Martha, that's actually a great question. So I think you're thinking about a U visa, but a U visa requires that you be a victim or a witness to a qualifying crime. And if you just being robbed of your belongings, I don't know that that's a felony, that's an assault or felonious assault. You have to, just being robbed on its own is not a qualification for U visa. It has to be a qualifying crime, which, but I'd like to get more information on that. And also, of course, they want you to have reported to the police. You have to show that you suffered some, physical or mental harm as a result of the crime that you suffered or the crime that you witnessed. So off the top of my head, without knowing much more about your case, I would say that just being robbed, you came home and you were robbed, I wouldn't say that was a U visa case. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. I'm going to head out now, but I'll be back next week, and you all have a great week. Take care.